Good afternoon, Corey here. Right now it is 1:58 p.m. and it is the 1st of July and it's Friday. And before we get started, I just want to say every day do something that gets you closer to your dreams, to the person you want to become, because it isn't an easy road and you have to be the one to believe it, because there is going to be a point in time where no one's going to believe you in what you're doing, no one's going to believe in the thing you're doing except you, and that's the time where you know that you really need to keep going, not because of everyone else, but to prove yourself, to prove to yourself that, you know what, it is possible for me to actually be that person I want to be. If everyone else was able to do it, or if somebody else was able to do it, I know it's possible for me too. Okay, and that's something that you need to keep in mind for yourself every day. So, Chapter 7 of the Science of Being Great by Wallace D. Wattles. And so far we've learned in our lovely book that no person is barred from greatness, that everyone has the ability to become great, and that we are not fixed by heredity, that our inherited subconscious tendencies, which we have picked up from our environment and our own parents, we're not tied down to that, and we have the ability to overcome that and grow beyond that and become even more of that, more of ourselves. And yeah, you must take action. You have to take action. You must be in congruence with your both inner and outer worlds. You have to, whatever it is that's going on inside of you, you have to be in congruence with the external, or else you're going to be misrepresenting yourself, okay? If you're not being you and you're being somebody else, then you're misrepresenting yourself to the world, and the world's not seeing the real you that you are sent here, created to do. And, what else have we learned? There's a principle of power within us that, just like a principle of health, or if you haven't been with us in the science of being healthy, or the science of being well, the principle of health within man is the simple act of, eating only when you're hungry, because that's when the subconscious mind is alerting you to eat so it could build for itself new cell material. Eat your foods all the way to a liquid state, chew it all the way till it's in liquid form, and then swallow, so it's easier on the digestive system, and it's a lot easier for the nutrients to travel throughout your bloodstream and get to every cell of your body. And that principle of health within man, that science of being well, there is a principle of power within us to consistently urging us to become greater than we were yesterday, and that is what we are here for, to continuously grow. So, that being said, let's get started with Chapter 7, the individual point of view. And we've learned about the social point of view. Now, we went over that in the recent chapter, okay? Learning to see the world as something that is becoming, something that is growing into something greater, because that point of view will inevitably allow you to move and create a world that is in becoming, okay? Instead of you acting out inside of a world that you believe is going to heck, and then you're just gonna, not have hopes for anything, and then that's just gonna be your character, and then you're gonna be that negative person while everyone else is looking at it, going towards the happier, healthier way of life. And that is a point of view that we must all take on, because not only is it's healthy for us psychologically, because remember, it is all perception. How we perceive the world is going to determine how we act towards the world. So Chapter 7, the individual point of view. Important as the matter of your point of view for the fact of social life is, it is of less moment than It is of less moment than your viewpoint of your fellow man, for your acquaintances, friends, relatives, your immediate family, and most of all, yourself. You must learn not to look upon the world as a lost and decaying thing, but as a something perfect and glorious which is going on to a most beautiful completeness. And you must learn to see men and women not as lost and accursed things, but as perfect beings advancing to become complete. There are no, quote, bad or evil people, end quote. An engine which is on the rails pulling a heavy train is perfect after its kind, and it is very good. The power of steam which drives it is good. Let a broken rail throw the engine into a ditch, and it does not become bad or evil by being so displaced. It is a perfectly good engine, but off the track. The power of steam which drives it into the ditch and wrecks it is not evil, but a perfectly good power. So that which is misplaced or applied in an incomplete or partial way is not evil. There are no evil people. There are perfectly good people who are off the track, but they do not need condemnation or punishment. They only need to get upon the rails again. Now that is one thing where, wow, that is awesome. That is amazing right there. We could all be likened to this engine, and we all have the power of steam within us, okay? We could be, okay, our engine can be likened to our own mind, and the power of steam which drives it could be our desires to do certain things. Remember, it is the desire to do a thing which actually gives life to actually get that thing done. You know, like when you really desire to make your dream come true, you know, you do things like reading books in front of a video camera and talking about a book, and you know, when you desire to grow and share things, you create and find ways to make it happen and get it out there. And this engine with the power of steam behind it, it's a perfectly good power, and it's a perfectly good engine. And those who misplace and misuse this power cause a lot of hurt and pain, and not only within themselves but within others too. But that person should not be condemned or criticized for their misuse of this power, or for the destructive use of this power. They just need to learn how to use it constructively, which is exactly what we're all here trying to do, and one day hopefully be teaching this. We see ourselves teaching that to generations. That which is undeveloped or incomplete often appears to us as evil because of the way we have trained ourselves to think. The root of a bulb which shall produce a white lily is an unsightly thing. One might look upon it with disgust. But how foolish we should be to condemn the bulb for its appearance, when we know that the lily is within it. The root is perfect after its kind. It is a perfect but incomplete lily. And so we must learn to look upon every man and woman, no matter how unlovely in outward manifestation. They are perfect in their stage of being, and they are becoming complete. Behold, it is all very good. Once we come into a comprehension of this fact and arrive at this point of view, we lose all desire to find fault with people, to judge them, criticize them, or condemn them. We no longer work as those who are saving lost souls, but as those who are among the angels, working out the contemplation of a glorious heaven. We are born of the Spirit, and we see the kingdom of God. We no longer see men as trees walking, but our vision is complete. We have nothing but good words to say. It is all good, a great and glorious humanity coming to completeness. And in our association with men, this puts us into an expansive and enlarging attitude of mind. We see them as great beings, and we begin to deal with them and their affairs in a great way. But if we fall to the other point of view, and say a lost and degenerate race, we shrink into the contracting mind, and our dealings with men and their affairs will be in a small and contracted way. So you see the immense difference of your point of view, okay? It is very, very important to see other people as perfect beings, in their own stage of development, forever moving on towards their own completeness. Remember, we all have our own growing to do. So we could literally stop and say ourselves, I know I was saying this in another video, just, have patience with you, first and foremost, because, one thing I've learned, humans themselves really like to take their time to mature, unlike any other creature, but then that's how we were given the power to choose, right? And yeah, going back to on topic, it's very important that we even see ourselves as perfect beings in our current stage of development, forever moving forward into more completeness, because we are already as perfect as we will ever be. The only thing that makes us not appear that way is our misuse of the power which has been given us because of our misunderstanding of this power that was never taught to us. We have nothing but good words to say. It is all good, a great and glorious humanity coming into completeness. And in our association with men, this puts us into an expansive and enlarging attitude of mind. We see them as great beings, and we deal with them in their affairs in a great way. But if we fall to the other points of view and see a lost and degenerate race, we shrink into a contracting mind, and our dealings with men and their affairs will be in a small and contracted way. Remember to hold steadily to this point of view. If you do, you cannot fail to begin at once to deal with your acquaintances and neighbors and with your own family as a great personality deals with men. Now remember the process of holding this point of view steadily in your mind. Okay, remember the process of that happening, and it happens through concentration. Remember, you're holding the thought forms of people being perfect, and that we are all moving into greater and more harmonious completeness, not only within ourselves but with the world around us as well. But to also, you have to concentrate on that. You have to really take that thought and make it yours. It's easy just to read what he is saying and accept it, but to actually take the thought and swish it around your mind for a bit and actually concentrate on it. Remember what happens when we are concentrating. We are setting those brain cells into activity, and we are forming the circuit within our own mind. Okay, so when we hold that point of view until it forms the circuit within our own mind, we become that person. And looking at that point of view and having that point of view of the world becomes our character, and then we will automatically deal with men and their personalities in a great way. This same viewpoint must be the one from which you regard yourself. You must always see yourself as a great advancing soul. Learn to say, quote, "There is that in me of which I am made, which knows no imperfection, weakness, or sickness. The world is incomplete, but God in my own consciousness is both perfect and complete. Nothing can be wrong but my own personal attitude, and my own personal attitude can be wrong only when I disobey that which is within. I am a perfect manifestation of God so far as I have gone, and I will press on to be complete. I will trust and not be afraid." End quote. Wow. When you are able to say this understandingly, you will have lost all fear, and you will be far advanced upon the road to a development of a great and powerful personality. Now that is the end of chapter 7 on the individual point of view. And next is consecration. So, learn to say that there is that within you of which you are made, that knows no weakness, sickness, or imperfections. Let's go.